Good morning and welcome to Spotlight brought to you by Georgetown NAACP number 5520. I am Deontay Winchester. Let me bring on my co-host, our president, Mr. Marvin Neal. Morning, Mr. Neal.
Good morning, Deontay. How you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing today?
Hey, it's a busy Zoom day.
So we've got some updates on elections. What can you say about that?
Oh man, we got so many updates on. The election is we're looking at the city election now, the municipality, which is has some contentious moments and stuff. But we moving forward. We are still registering voters. We registered right at 100 plus high school students within the last month here during the registration period. We're looking at doing some more registration during the Georgetown Technical College, Georgetown campus on the 16th of September. Waiting on some feedback on that. Just trying to get out the black votes. Make sure that the community that's being affected has an ample chance to vote and exercise their rights to vote. That's really a moment in time right now that we are dealing with. Dealing with all the attack on voters' rights. And trying to move forward with this new agenda that under the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. So we're going to see how things goes. There's some challenges with the Supreme Court right now and the Texas dealing there with the Voting Rights Act and Georgia and other states. So we're just going to continue to fight and make sure we hold our folks accountable once they vote. So thank you for that moment.
So when you say holding folks accountable, what do you mean by that? How can we hold our elected officials accountable?
One thing you vote with an elected official should always have an agenda, and the agenda should fit the population, not only the population, but the area in which they're running for. If they're running for mayor or city council or county council, whatever area they're running in, there should be an agenda, and there should be an agenda that fits the people. Mm-hmm. And especially in the minority district, because that's what the NAACP is about, is folks that's being disenfranchised and can't get out to vote, or we have to find other means that they can vote in a free election, and make sure we move out all the shortcomings, that people are not challenged, their rights are not challenged because of skin tone and things of that nature. So we have to hold them accountable. Make sure that housing, education, recreation, schools, minimum wage, fair labor, all those should be a part of the agenda for any elected official. When you hear elected officials say that is not my business, and to include infrastructure, when the elected official tells you that's not their business, that's a problem. I don't care what you ask them, it's their business. And if it's not within their area that they represent you, they should make an effort to lead you in the right direction. No elected official should tell you that's not their business if they represent you, because you're asking them because you don't know most of the time. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know and they're telling you it's not their business, then the question is, whose business is it? So, and that should be the question that you ask your elected official, well, whose business is it? If they tell you that, you need to ask, well, could you lead me in that direction? But you should not have to ask that question, because it just don't make sense at times when we hear that. It bothers me when
their business is the business of the people.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I would like to bring on our special guest, Ms. Jackie Williams, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about the Faith and Labor initiative, and in her new position with the AFL-CIO. Morning, Ms. Jackie. How you doing? You still on mute there, Ms. Williams.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
I am very well. How are you?
I am wonderful.
What can you tell us about this new initiative?
Well, the AFL-CIO, and for those who may not be familiar with the AFL-CIO, it is the American Federation of Labor, and the Congress of industrial organizations is the acronym for that, the AFL-CIO. And what the AFL-CIO does, it was basically born out of a need to protect the rights of workers back in the 1800s, as it relates to unfair practices, having no weekends off, working extremely long hours in very dangerous work environments, and fighting for fair pay, fair wages for employees in various sectors of industry. And that is what it has done over hundreds of years, and what it has done and what it continues to do. So if we fast forward to where we are now, one of the things that the AFL-CIO recognizes is that the church has always been very central as serving as a serious part of the puzzle in reference to any movement, whether it was a civil rights movement, women's movement, whatever major movements that have taken place over the history of this country. In the African American community, the church has always served as the outlet in organizing, engaging, and bringing about resolution for issues that truly does affect us. And so with that being said, the AFL-CIO has formed an initiative called the Faith and Labor Roundtable, where we are hoping to engage clergy. You don't have to be a pastor, just a member of the clergy community to be a part of this initiative. Our goal is to work with churches and work with clergy throughout the state to educate, to engage, and to push an agenda forward for the stabilization of the African American community across the state of South Carolina. And so we just felt like the church is still extremely viable as a part of the movement. And we wanted to make sure that we are being effective in terms of being engaged. And thank you so much for all of your well wishes, Deontay, and anybody else. I was just recently brought on through contract with the AFL-CIO to serve in the capacity as an organizer, a liaison for the Faith and Labor initiative that they have just established. So I work across the state, and I work closely with the national Mr. Clark, Elder Charles Clark, on the national level as it relates to the movement for that particular initiative. And for more specifically for the state of South Carolina, I handle the political affairs for the AFL-CIO. So those are my responsibilities, and I'm excited and I'm having a good time.
So if a member of clergy wants to join you in this initiative, how can they reach out to you?
They can contact me at 843-593-2688. Again, that's 843-593-2688. Or they can just shoot me a comment, their interest in my DM on my Facebook page, Jacqueline Williams. I always have the wrap on my head.
Yes,
Jacqueline Williams. Yes. Jacqueline Williams, and I will be more than happy to contact them. My email address is a little lengthy. That's why I'm not trying to give it, because you'd be like, what? What's all of that? But I will repeat my number again, 593-2688. Please just give me a call, and we can start the process of getting any clergy member of clergy plugged into the project initiative.
Okay, let me bring Mr. Neal in. I'm sure he has a couple questions for you. Mr. Neal, do you have any questions about this new Faith and Labor initiative? You're still muted there, Mr. Neal.
We definitely have some comment, and first of all, I'd like to thank my first African American president of the AFL-CIO, Mr. Charles Braves, who's of Georgetown, residents of Georgetown, lifetime member, that have thought it was not robbery that we connect here at the local level, because South Carolina NAACP have collaborated with them, and also the national NAACP is on board. And looking at our convention that's coming up, the theme is the impact of our vote, which the president, Reverend Charles Braves, he will be on the panel there also, and that panel is he will be on the George Floyd Policing Act panel with now the redistricting panel, where the AFL-CIO will be on there along with the NAACP, LDF, and the ACLU. And I'll tell you, that's a huge panel. And for us to collaborate, when our values are so mirrored, because we, as we talk about the faith and initiative with the church and the pastors and stuff, what we are talking about is pushing forward on this $725 an hour and fair wages, wealth gap between the rich and the poor. We're talking about the rise in economic inequality and poverty that has far-range repercussion on the issues, including affordable housing, public safety. We talk about public health, which we have a huge dealing with right now, especially here in Georgetown, in housing, environmental protection, as we deal with industries, holding them accountable. We're dealing with some issues right now with Westinghouse and those other initiatives, quality of education, infrastructure, which is another huge initiative here in Georgetown. Just dealing with trying to get the just think about Georgetown, the West End there, with the sewage issue and flooding issue. Also, you're dealing with working people with a secured voice on their jobs. The at will, fire at will. That's just a state of enslavement that actually you put your people in where they can't speak freely, or they'll be fired. That's what it boils down to. Harassment and discrimination on the job. We dealt with that right there in Conway just recently. Dealing with the South Carolina Department of Education. Just being totally harassed, being called the N-word and everything else. Those are the things that we have to actually deal with. All the situations that we have dealt with right here in Georgetown in the past administration, on the school board there. And some things still going on with that. So it's just so much that we are dealing with collectively, and just give us more strength to walk with by bringing on the AFL-CIO along with us. We're dealing with the housing situation right now, still in Georgetown. Unfair housing, which is called housing discrimination, right there in Wedgefield Road. But just, housing was denied just based on race. And folks that feel as though they were affluent people above those that was coming to that area. So
we have a great comment here from our political action chair, Ms. Jones, and she says, "Great partnership, NAACP and AFL-CIO, both working for the working people." And that brings me to my next question: what can organizations like the AFL-CIO bring, especially in a state like South Carolina where unions aren't recognized? Both of you can speak to this if you want.
I think right now one of the biggest initiatives for us is education, and that is dispelling the myth about the AFL-CIO and what it does not do, there was a editorial piece done the end of August in the Post and Courier from someone who was not named that that spoke about why the union is not good, why the AFL-CIO is not good. And, you know, and it's like, much like with the NAACP, if people would just do the right thing, then organizations like the AFL-CIO and the NAACP, there would not be a need for us to be out here. But because some people choose not to do the right thing by their brother or their sister, then there has to be, somebody has to speak for the voiceless, and someone has to be there to protect people who cannot protect themselves. And so the union is good for this state and any other, you know, in any other area where there is serious disenfranchisement, simply because it is not right. It is not right for any employee, any employer to live off the fat of the work, the backs of their employees, and their employees can't even pay their bills or make a decent living. You know, you have the founder of Amazon. You have the founder of Amazon that, you know, has this space initiative. I get it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hey, if I get other Mrs. Cassandra, can I go around by Dan?
Yes. Yep. Excuse me. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye. We are always out in the field working. We are always out in the field working. But example, you have this man that has this space initiative, Elon Musk. People look at an Amazon worker that's making $20 an hour and go, oh, that is wonderful. Yes, it is. $20 an hour in South Carolina, depending on what part of South Carolina you are from, is not bad, because a livable wage in South Carolina is $14.71 an hour. But for an Amazon worker that is making $20 an hour trying to survive in New York, that's the equivalent of $7.25. So you have an Amazon worker that was featured in a news piece that is essentially homeless while he is doing space exploration. That's homeless at $20 an hour in New York. And he is all over social media going, thank you, Amazon employees. Had it not been for you all, I wouldn't be able to do this. What's more important? Where's your priority? Your people should be a priority. You know, nobody is upset with you because you want to go up there and, you know, in upper space and explore. But charity begins at home. Take care of your people first. You certainly have enough money to do so. Take care of them first. This is where unions come in. This is where our work comes in, to hold people accountable, to make sure that people can retire in dignity with their integrity intact, with a retirement fund, pension, you know, so that they could be comfortable when they retire. They don't have to be wealthy, but we want to make sure that people are comfortable when they retire. And if the CEOs and the CFOs of these companies are not willing to do that, there has to be someone that is willing to give voice and fight to make sure that that happens. And that is what we do. And it's not just within plants and the teachers' unions. It is within legislation. We try to affect the laws that are allowing for things like this to happen. You know, that's why it is so important for us to get the facts right about the AFL-CIO so that you understand that you know that as communities we need to support, because we're out here trying to fight to repeal that fire at will law that has caused a lot of harm in South Carolina, and more specifically, Deontay, to the African American community and the communities of color.
Mm. Thank you so much.
Well, the at-will law itself was targeted African American people. That was the sole purpose of it. You know, that was the new part of the new Jim Crow ruling. So we have to make sure we stay focused on why things was brought into existence, especially after the Emancipation Proclamation, like everything else that came into existence. It's all about shut your mouth or you're out the door. You have people right now, Deontay, that's getting promoted in title only. You know, in title only. You know, they get promoted, but the money never follows. And you have to go back and fight for the money. And when they get their money, those that's less qualified than them, that's not of color, white folks, they get the same pay raise. You know what I'm saying? You have folks that's in charge that looks like me and you, where the employees are making more than them in some cases. And I've seen that. I've seen that right at Century Football. You know, the bosses are making less than the employees.
Ain't that something?
Yeah. So it's so much to work on. And that's where a lot of times we talk about the PRO-AC and union and pro-union. We have to be so careful. We're bringing in a lot of jobs. Just look at the situation in Georgetown, where they're talking about bringing in hotels and stuff of this nature. You know, it's fine to bring in hotels. Say, we bring in jobs to the community. But still, no one ever talks about what are these jobs paying and how can people work on these jobs and provide for themselves with the livable wage. No one talks about the livable wage. They talk about the accommodation tax and everything else that comes from these businesses, but they never talk about how are these businesses providing for the employee that they can make a livable wage. See, everyone reaps off the back of minority and blacks and Hispanic people, and that's the way it works. And even when you have a leg up, they cut your leg off because they make it harder for you to come. And just look at what happened during the pandemic. Black businesses are challenged consistently just about trying to receive money from the pandemic when whites just walk in, because the bank controls that situation, and those at the bank, they know exactly what they're doing. Black businesses are calling to, I got denied consistently until someone makes a phone call and all of a sudden it goes through and they still don't get what they should be getting. So it's always that challenge there. We have to be so careful. You know, when someone comes in and say they're going to help you fix your community by bringing in, they're bringing in capitalism, but who benefits from that? Those that brings it in, the people that's living there, and it goes right back into housing. The disadvantage. When you bring it in housing that's affordable, $15,000 to $40,000 a year income, that's denied, and yet still the same council that votes in housing $200,000+ a year in the same district. You see what I'm saying? In the same county, voting in the same thing. One hand's not talking to the other. County government, city government, they're not even communicating, but yet still the black community is being disenfranchised on both ends.
Okay. Ms. Williams, we about to let you get out of here. Look like you got some work to do out there in the community.
It's always.
We discussed a little bit about Amazon. I believe the founder of Amazon is Jeff Bezos. We talked about Elon Musk. He's the founder of Tesla.
Tesla. Yeah. Look here. Whoever is up there going into outer space, okay? Because it's hard for me to keep up with them. It's hard for me to keep up with them and their, and all of their adventures. But thank you for the correction. But those are things we just have to be mindful of as to why unions are very, very important. And, Mr. Neal spoke about the hotel industry. See, here's the thing. there's nothing wrong with bringing more of hotel industries to this area. But a union, an organized union for housekeepers can make the difference between them being paid $8, $10 an hour or $15 an hour. And you know, and for example, if you go to Las Vegas, the housekeepers, and now you know how many hotels, resorts would have, those housekeepers are unionized.
Mm-hmm.
They make great money. They are unionized. Many years ago, they tried to create a union for the housekeeping industry here, and the pushback from Horry County, the hospitality industry over there, was so bad, so intense, until it was almost volatile. And at that point, so as to not to endanger people physically, it just kind of, you know, died out. But it is definitely needed. All of those hotels over there, it's us that's jumping on the bus from Williamsburg County and other places coming in. It's us. It's people that look like us that's being flown in from the Caribbean islands because they don't have enough housekeepers, that's here working, making minimal monies. And, you know, and until we understand how you don't have to fight these battles alone, because you have organizations like the AFL-CIO, like the NAACP, that can help you and get engaged in fighting these battles, then it's almost like being on that island by yourself, not realizing that the boat is circling right around you to try to help get you off of that island. You know, you just need to take a step in the direction of the boat. So we are truly going to be doing more grassroots and getting on ground more throughout the state to really educate and dispel those myths about organized labor, so that and the season is prime for it now, because of how this pandemic has affected the workforce. You know, people talking, oh, you know, they lazy, they don't want to go to work. No, that's not the case. I'm not lazy. It's not that I don't want to go to work. It's just that this pandemic has helped me to realize that it's not that y'all don't have the money to pay us. It's that y'all don't want to pay us. Because all of a sudden, companies that said they couldn't afford $15 an hour is now offering $15 an hour. Isn't that something? How miraculous. Now, all of a sudden, because you can't get enough staff in, and you see the threat of your company having to close or not being able to open like they should, now miraculously, who would have thought? Miraculously, Deontay, you can pay $15 an hour. Isn't that something?
That's something.
Wow.
Now, Mr. Neal, Congressman Rice was in our area recently talking about this very subject. What was his position on it? You still muted there, Mr. Neal.
You know, Congressman Rice is actually a joke to leadership. You know, and if someone votes for him, they have to be a foolish person. You know, just not educated on the subject matter. But this clown have came into Georgetown, and right in the Howard Center, historical Black Howard, you know, center, and stated openly that $7.25 an hour is a great minimum wage, because it stops the Mexicans from coming into the United States. Now, that speaks volume to how he feel about those that's disenfranchised, you know, and say, and talk about he's representing them. In what way? To keep them in poverty? This man is a joke. And that is the pure identity of how the hoods and the whips and the chains have came off the back of black people. And the hoods have came off the back of those racist people, such as he is, obviously, you know, and those that don't care about black people and people of color. It just became a necktie that we send back to Congress. Mm-hmm. You know, we have to be so careful. That's why agendas and platforms is so necessary when these clowns are getting out there, or those people are running for office, you know, that represents. You have to ask the hard question. And even black leaders, you have to ask the hard question. You don't vote black because they're black. You vote black because they're representing your interests. And that's what we need to get back to, you know, because we have some issues here, not just in Georgetown, across the nation, because the black vote is always targeted, but is always taken advantage of also. They walk away. And after the election, you don't hear from some of your leaders until the next election. Town halls, you don't hear about it until the next election, or somebody else is doing the town hall, because leadership don't do town halls, especially here in Georgetown. You hear about it, but you don't see it. They talk about it during the election, but it don't happen. Bottom line, we have to start holding our elected officials accountable and make sure that they understand that what they say matters, and it matters to the livelihood of how you survive in the area where you live. You know, it's just senseless. They put policies in place and ordinances in place, and right there in front of you, that pretty much creates gentrification right there in your own community. They change the ordinance that cause you not to be able to utilize the property that you own in your community. Bottom line, that is just disgraceful. And these are people that are sitting up in these offices that you're voting for. Vote for me because I'm your cousin. Vote for me because I'm your brother. I'm your good old boy system and all this other stuff. People better really wake up and smell the coffee. Because if they're not careful, everyone's going to look like Cancun, New Mexico, and those other cities where you just sit back in a corner, sliding up under a paper box trying to survive. Or in Haiti, those places that are just suffering at the hands of people and stuff that's just totally disenfranchised. We have to be so careful. You know, your vote matters. And we have to fight for voting rights, and the impact of your vote. Everyone chased the black vote, because that is the change in everything. That is the balance. The black vote, what makes the difference. If you vote and you're a minority, you win. But know what you're voting for. Know what you're voting for, and make your vote count for your value. Your value. You ask those representatives, how does that benefit me when they're making these decisions or sitting there voting on these boards? How does it benefit me? That's important. And Tom Rice, as we start off with, is a joke. It just don't make any sense. Any sense. Lindsey Graham, joke. Same thing. Tim Scott, joke. Joke. If you have to go behind the cover to give something to black communities, then you're not leading. You're not leading. You're pimping. And that's what it boils down to. Show your hands so we'll know who you are.
Ms. Williams, as always, it was a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime you got something to share. Anything else you got to say to the people?
I just concur with everything that Mr. Neal has said, everything that you have said. I just want to encourage people, you know, no matter how you feel, get out and vote. No matter how you feel, please go out and vote. You know, you might not be in favor of a lot of things, but you still need to get out there and vote, because this is a very serious election that will have great effect on this community if some powers get into these positions that do not have our community's best interests at heart. So please get out and vote. And, Mr. Neal talked about all of these projects that's going on in Georgetown. Me personally, and this is just my little shallow opinion, I believe that if a project is coming into Georgetown of any great magnitude that can have a significant change in terms of the landscape, economically, socially, or what have you, there needs to be some type of impact study done as to how that project is going to affect the community totally. I mean, if you want to put up a traffic light, I don't think you need an impact study to put up a traffic light. But now, if you're talking about a $25 million project, buying a city building that has the potential of shifting voting blocks and impacts in terms of community, because it opens the door for so many other things. I think that you can't just look at the project. You have to look at the long-term effects of how that project is going to affect the community as a whole, because it has to be balanced. If there's no balance, then what happens is we are one step away from a Hilton Head, a Beaufort, a Pawleys Island, a Charleston. You understand? So we need to stop rushing through these things and allowing people to tell us, oh, this is good, and not really dig deep to say, okay, good for who? Good, good for who? Y'all talking about TIF money. We understand that, but that's not the cure-all for this community. That's one small component. That is not the cure-all for this community. And that is not a plan.
And Jack,
that is not a plan. That's a small part of something that can affect the community, but that is not a community plan.
Mm-hmm.
And we need one.
How can the people reach you, Ms. Williams?
Ms.
Ms. Williams, how can people get in touch with you?
Say that again.
How can people get in touch with you? How can they reach out to you?
843-593-2688. Again, that's 843-593-2688 is the best way to contact me, or just, drop me something in my DM and I am sure to respond.
Thank you so much. Take it.
Thank you.
It's so much still to talk about on that issue. We're going to have to bring her back.
Yeah. But speaking of the impact of this election, Deontay, and I don't want people to miss on this city election, and I want people to really open their eyes and open their minds. I've had family members that was a part of the city of Georgetown business community that have lost their business back in the days. I can't give you year and date, but they had barbershops and everything else down there. That was pretty much blown up because they were trying to be pushed for sales. I remember my father and his first cousin, that matter of fact, was my father's first cousin was one of them. Business got blown up because they were pushed to sell and they refused to sell. So we have to be careful. Georgetown was shifting from the east side to the west side. And we have to be so careful how ordinances are pushed in place to really disenfranchise that west side and cause them not to be able to develop their community as they see fit, within the contents of the law. We want to push changes, but we don't want to push the ordinance that's already in place to keep community intact. We want to change from R4 to R5. That stuff don't benefit Black people. It don't. And I don't care how you look at it, it don't benefit Black people. It tells Black people that's under the medium income, if you were to lose your home or your trailer that you live in, you have to come back with a new one. So if you're retired with a medium income of $2,400, $24,000 a year, what do you have? $12,000 a year to go back and get a new home?
Wow.
Does that make sense? And that's just basic math. And those are the things we have to ask. those folks that are sitting up on county council and city council, the question, like Jackie said, how does this benefit me? How does this change benefit me? And why shouldn't we do it this way? Why shouldn't we do it this way? You shouldn't be pushed out of your community. And if you look at just the condition right now of the city council and the county council, just the attitude in the room, the disrespectful tones in the room, it tells you where they are trying to go with the Black community, not us. Where they are trying to go with the Black community. And I want to stress that, because we have to be so careful who we put the hands of the Black community in, because it's not for us. Everything that looks good, it don't always taste good. So we got to be so careful.
Is there any COVID updates that we need to put out to the community?
Yeah, just recently, coming off the NAACP state executive meeting this morning, in which that meeting is still going on, the general meeting. But I understand that President Biden have put out an action that these school districts that's being threatened with their budget and stuff of that nature, if they choose to mandate masks and mandate vaccines in their community, they could go ahead and do it, and he will subsidize from the federal level the difference in their budget to make sure that the school and the communities are safe. And it's sad that he have to do that from the national level. And we got state government right here, right now, watching people die at the hands of right in their hands. They're just sad. It just saddens us. And as hard as we have fought with Thailand and DHAC and Club 142 and the Smith Clinic and St. James Santee and Howard Alumni, the Divine Nine, the NAACP, we have fought, hard to get people vaccinated. Hard. We fought harder than the dang government. It's sad. The governor sitting back saying no, and we're saying yes, because we could see the safety, but they only see the politics. And that's what makes the difference. And we have to continue to fight hard, because there's some common sense approach that we need to take. Wear the mask and get vaccinated. Wear the mask and get vaccinated. Because now, for I understand, 3 students have to test positive now. Not 1. 3 have to test positive now in order for them to make a decision to quarantine.
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? 1 is not enough.
Wow.
So I guess that's the new Trump era decision that we are following through from. It takes 3 now. One could contaminate millions, but it takes 3 now. We'll wait till 1 contaminate and they begin to fall off until we get to the 3. It's sad in the situation that they put our teachers and everyone else in. It's just sad. And I commend Thailand Health. They have cracked down. Only 1 nurse rejected, 1 worker rejected to get vaccinated. And they gave her a mandate, and I think she's gone. But everybody else was vaccinated. Not wearing masks, vaccinated in Thailand Community Hospital. It's just, and that's the role model step. Everybody else need to follow that. The school district need to follow that. County government need to follow that. City government need to follow that. Because what it boils down is politics. Ain't nobody threatening them. They just need to make a decision. They need to make a decision. That's what leaders do. And you make a decision based on the safety of your people. That's how decisions are made. Safety first.
Not politics. The safety of the people.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people will say, I'm vaccinated. Why should I still wear my mask? Why is it still important to continue masking up?
Well, the people that's vaccinated need to continue to wear their mask, because you got foolish people that's not vaccinated, that's not wearing masks. And what you're doing, you're protecting them more than you're protecting yourself. And you still can get COVID while you're vaccinated. The impact is not as harsh, but you still can get COVID if you're vaccinated. I am vaccinated and boosted, fully vaccinated, 3 times. And I don't want to miss. If a fourth one comes out, I'll take that one too. But your immune system is compromised, especially the older you get. And if you have underlying conditions, you had major surgeries, kidney transplants, heart conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes. These things are major. Lupus, sickle cell. These things are majors. Ages 55 and up. Age has a lot to do with your system being compromised because your system just don't adapt anymore the way when you were younger. So all those things matters. Get vaccinated. Let's quit being foolish and let foolish government and politicians lead us in the direction of health. Let our physicians lead us in the direction of health. The CDC and Department of Health and Human Services. That's who need to be leading us, not these dumb politicians. Getting on top of do not get vaccinated. It's your human right. Well, what happened to your human right when these babies are born and they're getting these vaccination shots?
True.
What happens when they start school and they're getting vaccination shot? It's no more. The difference in this vaccination and the rest of them, we had a dumb president that got involved with it. Politics, trying to get elected or trying to make a deal with China. What it boils down to. It's just dumb politics that got in the way. It's no different than the rest. Some say, well, it wasn't vetted long enough. I never asked how long the chicken pox was vetted. You know what I'm saying? The measles shot was vetted. No one ever asked that question. No one ever looked at an aspirin bottle and read it. I'm pretty sure no one have read what's in an aspirin bottle when they get a stomach ache or get some joint aches. They just take that aspirin and throw it in their mouth.
Yep.
Tylenol, throw it in their mouth. Have you sit down and read the contents in an aspirin bottle?
No, never.
Okay, you throw it in your mouth because you trust the science. I didn't ask a politician, is it all right to take this aspirin? Okay, the warning will say contact your physician. Nothing in medicine say contact your political county councilman or county government or city government or state or national or federal government. No medical bottles, anything that you've taken say that. So that's just keeping it real by itself. No one goes through the hospital door of the emergency room and say, please get my county council here or my city government or my state government. Please call Donald Trump and tell him come in here and administer the medical assistance to me. No one says that in the operating room, in the emergency room. Have you ever anyone said? So
I ain't never heard that. I have heard people say, I wish I got that vaccine while they on their deathbed.
Yeah. Or could you get me a doctor now? I feel bad. You see what I'm saying? Now, I feel like I'm going to die. You tell them folks that don't want to get vaccinated, feels that they're going to die, call Donald Trump. Call Governor Mike Masters. Call them fools out there talking about not get vaccinated or you don't have to wear a mask. Call them and tell them come administer some help to you because that's who you're getting the false information from. It's not the CDC. It's not the doctors. It's not Thailand Health. It's not DHEC. It's not Conway Medical Center. It's none of those places. It's stupid politicians.
Yep. So we want to thank everybody for joining us. You have been watching Spotlight brought to you by Georgetown NAACP number 5520. We welcome you to join us back next Saturday at 11 o'clock where we'll have another show giving you community updates and events. As always, be safe.
There's one more thing, Deontay. I'd like to make sure people remember that we might not have put this out yet. The South Carolina Conference of the NAACP National Convention starts on the Friday, the 8th of October. You could go online and register on the South Carolina Conference NAACP. You could go on our branch webpage, our Facebook page, and register for this convention. It's a huge convention. In this convention, it's our second plan. The first session is starts at 6 o'clock on Friday, the 8th, which our chairman, Leon Russell, CEO and president of the NAACP, is our keynote speaker. Criminal justice panel of George Floyd Criminal Justice and Policing Act with Senator Cory Booker, Senator Tim Scott, moderator Hillary Shelton, Our redistricting panel will follow with members of the AFL-CIO, NAACP Legal Defense Fund, South Carolina AFL-CIO, who is headed by a young man from Georgetown here, Brother Charles Brave. He will be on the panel. And our National Action Network moderators, Mayor Steve Benjamin. Other confirmed presenters will be Val Demings, a representative, Jim Clyburn, Majority Whip Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, our Youth and College Division, All Justice for All, and Justice for All, Miss Infinity Irvin, Entrepreneur, and Miss Jenny Smith Perry, and Miss Robert Perry, The Impact of COVID-19. And on the date of the September 28th, there will be a huge press conference sponsored by the NAACP at 11 o'clock a.m. 11 o'clock a.m. in Columbia at the State House. Prior to the sessions, the state session opened up for noon. The issue is recognizing health issues for our schools, and our hands are tied. So everyone that could attend that press conference on September 28th at 11 o'clock at the state capitol, please be there. We will be there, the NAACP, and I invite everyone to follow us there because it is necessary that we send a strong message to the governor and our representative in Congress and let them know that, hey, it's important that we get people vaccinated. Deontay, and thank you for your time this morning.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Neal, for those updates. Everybody be safe. Remember to mask up. Vaccinate if you haven't done so already. And even if you're vaccinated, please continue to mask, social distance, and keep doing what keeps your family safe, no matter what these politicians say. As always, thank you for joining NAACP 5520 Spotlight. We love you. Continue to love yourselves.